Happy weekend, everyone. It's Invisible Walls, episode 151 here on GameTrailers.com. Coming hot off the heels of episode 150, our big milestone. Codes were hidden in that show, folks. I know I saw some comments. They're like, what are those numbers and letters? Those were codes for the DLC for Call of Duty Black Ops for the PS3. So there were some codes in there that were hidden pretty well. You might want to go back and watch the show again because there might be some live codes in there. You could still get a $15 DLC for free, so make sure you check it out. There might still be some in there that can get you that. We do want to give a shout out to Japan. Obviously, everybody knows what's going on over there. Without Japan in that country and a lot of our friends over there, this show wouldn't exist. They are the cradle of the video game industry, and we're all feeling for those guys over there. So we wanted to reach out to you guys, try to get you guys to donate some money to the Japan relief through the Red Cross. All you have to do is text Red Cross to 90999, and you'll donate $10 instantly to the Japan Relief Fund. And for our Canadian users, you need to text Asia for a $5 donation to 30333. So obviously everyone knows what's going on over there. Really, really bad story.
Yeah, and we know we've got a lot of European listeners as well, and we don't know what the we tried looking for the text numbers for that. So go to your local Red Cross site or Save the Children, or in the UK Oxfam. I mean, there's a whole bunch of charities out there, and just find the one that you think fits best for you.
Yeah, I know everybody listening to the show or watching the show loves video games, and without our brothers in Japan, we wouldn't be able to enjoy the hobby that we do. So, be generous, help others, and, hopefully karma comes back around, and when you're in need, somebody's there to help you as well. And on that note, Marcus has someone he would like to give a shout-out to.
I want to give some mad props out to a young chap from Australia called Casey Haynes.
Casey.
Yeah, Casey is an awesome young lad. He's 14 years of age, and now if you've been on the internet any time in the last couple of weeks, last week or so, you've probably seen the cell phone camera of him being bullied by it has to be said, much smaller lad. But there's, the 12-year-old was a little arsehole, and he was, Casey stood there and, just was like, I'm not fighting back.
The guy punched him in the face.
A couple of times.
Yeah.
And then Casey eventually snapped and picked the kid up and body slammed him.
No, he didn't just body slam that kid. He smeared him into the concrete, man.
He did, and he's now called the Zangief kid from Street Fighter. So if you search for that, the video is, I'm not condoning violence in any way, shape, or form, but worse than the violence is the bullying. I'm not a big fan of bullying, so for Casey standing up to himself, big ups to you, young man, and go back to not fighting, because you obviously don't like to fight. And the little bully, you little shitbag, you got what you deserved.
Yeah, he learned a valuable lesson on that day, didn't he?
And I hope he went home, and I hope his parents beat the living shit out of him as well, because that's what he deserved.
So I know 150, you guys liked it a lot, but this show, honestly, I think has the best lineup of topics that we've had for quite some time. A lot of controversial things have happened over the last 7 days. A lot of people speaking out when maybe they shouldn't.
A lot of people running their mouths off. What's the world coming to? I don't like talking like that. Talk left, right, and center.
It's all social outlets. They could just speak their opinion anywhere and everywhere they want.
It's the interwebs.
It's Twitter. And thank God for them, because it's going to make an awesome episode 151. And here to do that with you today, Marcus, obviously, who's already spoken.
Yeah, where would we be without mouthy people sitting around microphones?
We'd be out of work. Mike Damiani's here.
Definitely be bored. Hey, what's up, everyone?
Daniel Bloodworth is on the show this week.
Hey there.
And you already heard a little bit from Brooks Huber. Haven't done that in a while.
Yeah, you have not. I'm only going to be on him for a little bit, though. Home front. And then leave it to you guys.
Yeah, he's going to come and drop the bomb and then take off. So.
I have an appointment.
Anyway, episode 151. Here we go.
Just don't think about it. Just
wait.
All right, so first we're going to talk about probably the highest profile release of the week. That would be Homefront.
Doesn't have any competition.
Right. I'm trying to be nice.
It knew what it was doing. Yeah.
Homefront from THQ. I think they've been pretty good with marketing this game. I know the word about this game is definitely out there.
Wait, did you say they did a good job with marketing this game?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but...
I've seen, bus stop.
We've seen the food truck
ads all over the city.
I think you're going to talk about the balloons.
Yeah, the balloons in San Francisco. It did its job, but that was a pretty poor decision.
We're killing all the fish in San Francisco.
But they're biodegradable, they kept saying.
So does the game hold up is the question. Now, Marcus, you've been playing the campaign. Brooks is here to talk about the game to drop the bomb and roll.
Oh.
Well, I must say that I thought the marketing was good.
Yeah.
The premise sounds awesome.
the premise
Fighting
is-
on home turf.
Yeah. So for those who don't know,
Invading.
set up the game. What's it all about? Blah blah blah.
It's 20 or 15 years into the future. The U.S. economy's collapsed. Korea has been unified. Kim Jong-il's son has basically managed to take over the entire world, and they're now controlling the U.S. And the game is set in Colorado in a small little town called Montrose. Ironically, where one of the guys here is from.
A couple of them.
Yeah, they said it's like, oh, we're from Montrose, and the game looks nothing like Montrose.
They just borrow the name and
They
that's
just
it.
stole a name.
Yeah.
So basically, you are a very skilled ex-special forces helicopter pilot who just happens to be, in the middle of this town.
sharpshooter.
It's got a pretty crazy opening cinematic, though, that interactive Half-Life.
Well, and that's the
it was
thing,
really
I like
disturbing.
that.
One of
I
the
like
images
that.
really got me going because there was this married couple outside, and it's like detainment camps and whatnot. And these soldiers pinned them up against the wall, and you hear the mom saying, "Don't look, honey, don't look. It'll all be over soon." She gets capped, her husband gets capped, and then the kid starts crying and running up to them.
I mean, that intro
Like, Mommy,
sequence
wake
was
up, what are you
very
doing?
harsh, but
Oh.
it
That
was
sounds like
so
Red
well done.
Dawn.
It's
I mean,
very
that's
Red
the thing.
Dawn.
It's very Red Dawn minus obviously the god that is Swayze. But that first intro cinematic where
peace.
you get dragged from your house by the military, put into a bus. You've got somebody talking to you. You're looking out the window. You see blood splatters as people are getting shot. It's very, very powerful. And I'm not giving anything away here. And then your bus gets hit by a truck as the freedom fighters try
Yeah,
and liberate
rogue
you.
truck.
And then the game starts, and that's where it starts to suck.
No, wait,
soon as he can
wait a
control
second. Sorry, how exactly does Korea invade the U.S.? I'm not saying U.S. is like
It's a unified,
the greatest
Well,
country in
no,
the world,
it's a-
but
it's
how
a-
the heck?
They actually have some semblance of logic in there. I mean, obviously, just on a man-to-man basis, it's impossible.
Well, they have nukes.
Yeah,
But
that
it's
helps.
actually not news. I mean, it basically comes down to oil at the end of the day. Oil ends up
Doesn't it
going,
always?
Yeah, it ends up going to like $30 a gallon. There's food strikes. And then the Koreans invade Hawaii. They take Hawaii once they use Hawaii as a beachhead to take San Francisco and California because people can't afford can't have food, and it basically the population is worn down. So it's then starts to come in. I mean, it's total.
Why does
bollocks
it
at the
suck,
end
though?
of the
I
day.
want to know exactly, because I
It is a video game after all.
It is.
You do suspend some
So
of
why
your-
does the game suck?
Okay.
Yeah, let's go into that. I
All
wanna-
right. So all right.
Let's go into
so,
your little
I
detail,
mean,
your spiel, please.
This is.
Yeah, why does it suck?
I was expecting more from it based on having seen those intro cinematics and all the stuff that had been said. But the guys Chaos, they've been they had such great ideas for this.
Mm-hmm.
But first up, the characters that you are playing with, your AI characters. I've seen more personalities in used condoms. There's no personality there
Technically,
whatsoever.
there's about 1 million personalities in a used condom.
Well, none of the lands are back. I mean, the voice acting to me was flat and uninspired. I mean, especially coming off Dragon Age Origins last week, where and even though I criticized the game, the voice acting was top notch and
Yeah.
the scripting was phenomenal.
So it fails to get you immersed in
It
the
does.
game.
It fails to
just
get me
can't-
immersed, and then it basically falls into Call of Duty Black Ops syndrome, where it's fishhook around the into the cheek and just drags you around from set piece.
Yeah,
to
everything
set
is
piece
so
to set piece.
scripted in that game, too. It's just on such a straight path.
Yeah, and I was having a Twitter conversation with one of the guys who follows me this morning, and he made the comment, and it totally resounded with me, is that it initially reminded me of Half-Life 2 with that opening cinematic, but the great thing about Half-Life 2, which nobody seems to remember, with regards to game designers, that once you stop that cinematic, it still progressed at a nice, not insane, but you'd have your insane set pieces, but it was a sedate pace. You weren't dragged kicking and screaming through the game. You could wander around. You'd see other things going on. Whereas here, it's almost like touring a movie set that if you try and go and peek around a corner, that's all you're going to see is all the houses are just flat sets, and there's there's actors on coffee breaks. It's like the Truman Show.
Right.
And that's the feeling I get from this sort of game, and I got from Black Ops, is that it's like, how many Michael Bay moments can we cram into a game, or how many of those can we have, and then we'll just drag people from one to the other, to the other, to the other, all the way through.
I think a lot of people like games like that, though. So what
they-
else
if
about
they-
it makes
I
it
know.
suck?
I know one of the comments Ryan made when I saw him playing it last week was that it's like shooting fish in a barrel. I mean, is it really feel
it
like that?
easy?
Like there's
AI is not the sharpest.
Yeah.
AI is not the sharpest, and they're always shouting instructions to you, and it's like, again, waypoint to waypoint. It's like flank the gun turret. Okay, now throw a grenade at the gas tank, which is flashing red on the gun turret. Or get up to that second floor, and they say find a way to do it, but then they provide an additional audio cue of get in the house, go up to the window, and shoot that guy.
Yeah.
What is that guy's name? Goliath? It's not the guy, but the machine that you're
Goliath
controlling.
Is the
that's one of the highlights,
That's the APC, the robot sort of like car with the rocket launchers and stuff. That was actually a kind of neat touch, but it was just
really cool.
Wasn't really exploited as much, I think, as it could have been.
Because I think the controls are fine, and the gameplay, it just mirrors Call of Duty easily. I mean, when we're playing online.
Now, does it do that better or worse than Black Ops, that style of game?
I don't think it. I mean, and again, shows how little I think of this game. I don't think it does it half as well as good as Black Ops.
Got ya.
I mean, I don't think it does. Does anything half as good as, say, Modern Warfare.
Now, you guys are complaining about the campaign. I've heard from a lot of people that the multiplayer in some ways makes up for it. What's your experience been with that?
All right, now I haven't got to the multiplayer yet because when I tried to get on yesterday, they've obviously sold a lot of copies of this game. The marketing's played off because the servers were packed. It was impossible to get on.
What were you playing on, PS3 or
360?
Okay, yeah, I've been playing it on 360 a little bit, and I had no problems getting in any matches whatsoever. And
I had real problems last night just trying to get in. I mean, again, I didn't get in until Tuesday afternoon. So by the time I play through single player and then I go on to multiplayer, it takes an absolute dog's age.
I don't have a lot of complaints with multiplayer. It's just it might feel a little generic and a little flat in places. And
so how does it work?
New.
Is it just like Call of Duty?
Yeah, it's exactly like that. There's class systems, and what I really like is as you're playing real time, you earn battle points for kills, and then you could go ahead and spend those points within the match on perks that give you the ability to drive one of those drones, and you could drive around. And
so there are vehicles. That makes
and there's vehicles, so you don't have to always spawn on foot. Like if you earn enough battle points, like 400 per se for 2 kills, you could spawn into a Jeep and then start driving around the terrain. Because the maps are big enough to give you those vehicle options. And then there's RCs.
Is there aircraft?
There is.
Can you fly aircraft?
There's helicopters. Yeah, I've seen those. And then, like I said, there's RCs too. You could just fly those things remotely and then get into the little areas and the nooks of your enemies.
I didn't play enough multiplayer to be able to accommodate. I wanted to focus on the single player.
It takes a lot of bullets, though.
I mean, again, single player for me is the be-all and end-all. Multiplayer is always pretty much a bonus. But I will say that I didn't have nowhere near as much fun on this game as I did with Bulletstorm 3 weeks ago.
Now, what about Bad Company 2? Because that's sort of the gold standard of vehicle-based multiplayer.
Yeah, it doesn't. It
consoles.
borrows from Battlefield Bad Company 2, but it doesn't reach that level at all.
Do you see any reason why somebody who has Bad Company 2 would want to play this other than the fact that new maps and
that's the only reason I could see is just new maps, different style of gameplay. Just a little quicker in my opinion, not so much camping as it is really run and gun.
Now, what's interesting with these games is that, if you look at the statistics, and a lot of publishers will go back and and with Xbox Live, you can actually track what people are doing in these games. A lot of people never even play the campaign. They just go straight to the multiplayer. Call of Duty, you can actually set the game up so when you boot it, it goes straight to multiplayer. Yeah. So buy or don't buy with the multiplayer in mind and the fact that a lot of people may not even care about playing the campaign.
Well, I'm not going to comment on multiplayer. I'm going to say because there are, like I said, there are a lot of people who are set up just for multiplayer, but there are also a lot of people like me who play for single player, who view multiplayer still as a bonus and will go on every now and again, but actually prefer to explore a storyline and go through it that way. For those guys, I would say for single player, don't buy.
Okay, Brooks, what about you?
Oh, that's a tough call. I'd say with Black Ops coming out last November and we're kind of in a lull right now, if you're really itching for something, it's going to satisfy that. But ultimately, if you do not look at it as a complete package and you're strictly looking at multiplayer, no buy.
You have forced us to examine your dedication to America's cause. Take him away!
All right, next we're going to talk about something that we actually started talking about at GDC, and it all kind of has been spurred on by Iwata's keynote from GDC, where he kind of called out the people who are making these $1 or free games. We've already went through the whole keynote at length. The fallout from that has been pretty extreme, to the point where this week, the boss of Rovio, the developer who makes Angry Birds, his name is Peter Vasterbacka, He basically came out and said that consoles are dying, that his games are going to kill video game consoles.
Yeah, he said that at South by Southwest, which is, obviously the big techno geek social media, who basically, has said that, the advent of massively mobile gaming, which is apparently Angry Birds, is how it's going to kill, the video game consoles. Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft better just get out of the business. And his logic behind it is that they've sold a shitload of Angry Birds, like over 100 million downloads.
I don't think it's been that much.
It's been 100 across so many different platforms.
I don't think it's that
iPad,
much.
iPhones. There's like 4 different iterations of Angry Birds right now. That's on every single mobile platform.
Yeah, I mean, I was doing some research on this last week.
That is the numbers. I am seeing that it's just, according to the article I'm reading on CNN Money, that it's just past 100 million downloads.
So he's basically calling out the console industry, saying his games are going to take down the console industry. Well, how many hits have they had that compare to Angry Birds?
They've had Angry Birds and Angry Birds seasons.
Right.
And this honestly sounds like, new kid on the block, like, hey, we're the hot stuff right now, and we got a hot game, and, we see the potential that we can do. So let's ignore the history that all these console games have, and that the fact that the console industry is still going strong. It's not like they're dying or anything.
Yeah.
And this is just a statement, I think, out of, passion and stuff that he's excited.
I think he's being a little smug.
Well, I think it's also a case of Iwata decided to go and gob off at that GDC, and I didn't.
But the thing is, Iwata actually gave props to Angry Birds. He put it on that most.
Yeah, it was in his presentation.
Yeah, but I didn't comment because I wasn't in on that show. But I thought Iwata and Nintendo had major balls for doing that. It was pot kettle black because of the amount of shit that they shovel out or they approve to go out on the Wii.
Well, also some of the biggest hits for the Wii have been basically collections of games like Angry Birds, like Carnival Games, for instance. That was one of their early big hits. A lot of people bought it, and it's a collection of mini games, much like Angry Birds.
Absolutely, but I mean, so I think that's where this guy, the mobile industry is feeling slighted or whatever. But honestly, for him to say that, and I've got Angry Birds on my machine, on my iPhone and on my iPad, and it's a fun distraction. But that's all it is. It's a distraction. It's like somebody giving me a bag of chips and telling me I'll never want a 5-course gourmet dinner again. And video games on consoles or console gaming, when it's at its best, when it's Half-Life 2, when it's Mass Effect 3, Uncharted, that's a 5-course gourmet delight, whereas Angry Birds is a pack of peanuts.
I tell him to bring it. I mean, you can't talk smack like that and not have something to back it up.
I mean, what's your next hit?
Yeah, basically. Where is it, bro? It's like, dude, okay, even if they made $100 million on this game, how many games have destroyed that figure during this generation? Dozens and dozens of them.
I mean, and they come back to the cost, the cost again, that it cost $142,000 to make Angry Birds, the very first iteration, because they continue to update it for free. There are games on, in particular, the iPad that are can be qualified as proper games. I'm talking about the Dead Space game. I'm talking about Rage HD.
Sure.
I mean, even the Lego Harry Potter game on iPad is actually a bunch of fun, and it's involving, and it's not, shoot a fucking bird at a bunch of blocks, and look how we've changed it up for this time. Now it's love themed. There's hearts to shoot at. There's cowboy hats. There's Indians. They're a one-trick pony.
Yeah.
Because it's basically the same game time and time again. And so I think, he needs to sort of like sit down, shut up, go and count his money. He's way richer than anybody at this table ever will be. And, fair fucks to them. They made a lot of money out of, what is a one-trick pony.
Out of a game based on a slingshot. So
Yeah.
for that, I got to give him props. But I also think it was kind of a flash in the pan.
Well, I've just been kind of annoyed at, this has been kind of the thing we've seen the past few weeks since GDC. It's like, you have David Cage saying that anything with a boss is outdated and stop making these kind of games. And then, and then Jaffe shooting back at him and saying that, artistic games are just fluff and people need to stop, see through that. Yeah. And it's like, people look, it's like there's different places for different types of games. And just because that's not what you want to make doesn't mean that we can't enjoy all these different games.
But, again, it's great that they have all these casual little games. I buy a lot of them. I try them out. They're fun. They're distractions. Nothing more. But until Rovio, as you said, until they bring it, until they say, all right, we're bringing and Zynga's another one. They can sit there and say, we're making all this money. Good luck to you. You're not advancing the art form. And, Jaffe, I love that guy. I think games can be art. I liked a lot of his points last week about, maybe we're being a little bit pretentious because games can be good old-fashioned fun. And I agree with that because I prefer, give me. There's a lot of the new games that are coming out that are a little bit arty, wanky. El Shaddai is one in particular that I have no love for, simply because it looks like a bunch of arty wank to me.
Yeah.
And I biased. I know I'm so biased about that game, but I think the games industry, we need all these different aspects. We need the ultra casual, the mobile. We need the downloadables section where we can be more, people can be more creative, and we need the big blockbuster.
Jaffe. I mean, to be honest with you, I love David Jaffe. In an industry where everyone's afraid to talk, everyone's afraid to speak out of line, everyone's afraid to offend their PR department, he is the anomaly. But this is the one time that I've ever disagreed with that guy. I was shocked at the stuff that he wrote, in all honesty. He just sounded like someone who was bitter.
Oh, go and check out his blog. I mean, he does.
I read the blog. Well, it was like 4,000 words long.
I'm telling the viewers or the listeners, go check out his blog and form your own comments as well. Form your own opinions. Don't take our word for it on any of this stuff. I mean,
he wouldn't name specific games. He was like
That's
alluding, but the things he was alluding to sounded like Shadow of the Colossus to me. Did it seem that way to you
I was
guys?
thinking more of a Limbo because that game rides a lot on its art style
Limbo,
and sound effects.
Flower, but when
I
he
think
really
he was
got
having
specific,
a pop with a lot of the downloadable games.
I don't know. To me, it sounded like he was talking a little bit like Shadow of the Colossus was the game everyone was pointing to as art, and it's like, I think it goes back to what you said. It's like you have to create a medium where there's something for everybody. But everyone's got to understand that everyone has to create these games for other people. You can't take shots at other part of your industry. It's not going to help you.
Well, I mean, just look at art. Look at the definition of art. You go into an art gallery to see art. There is stuff by the Impressionists. There is stuff by Jackson Pollock. There is stuff by Da Vinci. There's stuff by Picasso. And all of that appeals to different people.
Right.
I mean, some people like Damien Hirst stuff. I think, cutting a cow in half and sticking it in formaldehyde is fucking retarded. But then I love Banksy. And the Banksy stuff, because that to me that's also art, but not to other people. And that's the thing, art is, it's in the eye of the beholder, and I think that applies here in the games industry. I do think, we, as journalists, and I'm talking about you guys as journalists because I know I'm not. I'm an editorialist, but as this, the media, we do tend to suck up a little bit too much, I think, at times. I do think we're guilty.
To what or who?
Just, to various different, games publishers or, just, games designers in general. I don't think we're guilty of asking hard questions. I think we need to mature, perhaps as this side of the industry, to start asking harder questions so that, because we're so reliant on, trying to get an exclusive, and there's so much competition from so many other outlets.
Well, being honest with you, I do hard interviews, and I do ask questions that people don't want me to ask. And I had some classic bouts back in the day with Sony whenever they're getting ready to launch the PlayStation 3. Me and Phil Harrison would literally throw down once every 3 or 4 months. But what you find is when you start asking those hard questions, it starts becoming more and more difficult to get the interview at all.
Well, I mean, that is the problem.
And that didn't happen with Sony, by the way. Sony, time and time again, they're like, yep, Phil wants to talk to you, totally fine. But there are some other publishers where I've had, and it's not like I'm confrontational, I just ask them real questions that our users want to know the answers to.
Yeah, and I think
the next time they have an event, you're like, hey, you're going to set up that interview with blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, well, we have this other person we want you to talk about. And then they roll them out. And they don't know jack. They don't want to comment on anything. They're basically just there to stand and smile. So the industry kind of teaches a lot of the journalists that if you still want access to those games, that you kind of have to toe a line in some ways.
Yeah.
So I think bottom line at the end of this lengthy discussion is Peter Vesterbacke, put up or shut up. All right. So this week, the MPD was in the news, and not because we made the news, because Michael Pachter got in a pissing match with EA and Activision over the relevancy of MPD numbers.
And as much as I love the pack,
I do love the pack.
I do love the pack, but as much as I love him and I despise Activision and EA can piss me off, EA do have a point. They do have a point that digital downloads should be included in MPD.
They definitely should be included. But I also think Pachter has a point in that maybe they're not going to be as big as you think and really change the overall landscape of sales.
Yeah. Well, I think the argument kind of came down to growth, where the NPD was kind of, it
saying
was
the
showing
industry's shrinking.
Yeah, and whereas they're like, well, we have all this growth in the digital sector that you're not even showing.
Right.
Yeah.
They definitely need to be counted, and it took something like this to kick MPD in the ass to start counting the sales.
Today they announced, and today being Wednesday, again when we record this, they announced that as of next month they'll be including digital sales.
Yeah, and
Well
have they
done.
said where those what they're going to count exactly? Is it just Steam? Is it do they have any idea? Did they say?
I haven't seen any additional details. I think it's like they're going to have one guy in Pacoima who's going to be sitting there counting like download numbers on a computer screen. And he's going to have one's clickers that go up to 999.
Yeah, he's gonna count the torrent streams.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, to be relevant, hopefully, yeah, they'll have Steam and hopefully they'll have Amazon.
Amazon
yeah,
download,
those are
XBLA.
I
PSN.
kind of wouldn't be surprised though if they're just getting like direct downloads. Like, you know how EA has stuff on their store.
Like
Yeah.
through that would suck.
Yeah.
Here's my question: do you guys get angry over the fact that downloadable games cost the same as brick and mortar games?
Yes.
Isn't that garbage, man? It's
That's
like,
taking
look,
the piss.
it costs you money to burn a disc, make a manual,
Dude, I've been saying
ship
this
the
for
shit to a
years.
store. Why are you charging us the same amount
Yeah.
for
why-
something that you're just putting on a
$60 for
freaking...
Dragon Age 2 on the PC.
That's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean it's retarded, and why do we pay it?
Yeah. But
mean,
again, it's what we always say on this show: vote with your dollars.
Exactly.
So if you keep paying for it, they're going to keep charging you $60 for that game on Steam.
yeah,
So don't do it.
don't.
I don't know. Man. I'm not as offended by that. I mean, if it's a collector's edition or something, you're going to put effort into the packaging. I understand that.
Right, but we're talking about no package.
Yeah,
I
there's
know,
no
I know what
packaging.
you're saying. You're
No,
saying
they've
that
already
they don't
started-
have to put all this cost into the production of the game anymore because they're not making the thing. That doesn't justify their costs anymore. There's some games that are good enough that justify it. Some games probably should be lower cost, but it doesn't. I'm not. My knee-jerk reaction is not. That's bullshit. I'm
Well,
really
it-
angry with that. I
But,
mean, I'm just
The
not.
reason behind it is that they can't charge a lesser price because Best Buy, Walmart, Target, etc.
Right.
refuse to take the game if it's being sold digitally at a lesser. So I mean, we do get pissed off, and it's like but we don't think it's fair. But at the end of the day, there's cocksuckers at Walmart again.
I mean, I'm an old schooler. I know that. But I like art. I like the art that you get with it. I like looking at how they lay out their books. I like having that physical piece of something.
You buy a Ubisoft game, you don't get a fucking manual anymore.
Well, EA, you don't really get a manual
Yeah,
either.
Don't get me wrong. I still enjoy that too. I mean, I just initially like that. It just doesn't bug me that much. I mean, but what you brought up, Marcus, that does suck that they can't lower. I mean, I'd be happier if they could be cheaper. I mean, that's obviously crap, but
And just think of how many trees we'd save.
And one thing I would say too is that in Japan, the packaging is so much cooler, so much better. I feel like the
Oh, yeah.
packaging here in the U.S. is just slapped together.
like the front cover artwork in the U.S. on average is so much trashier than what you see in Japan. It's like, and I don't. That was it's a cultural difference. Like really. Like just like the Nintendogs and Cats one coming out,
Right.
They showed like that really cool like wallpaper style image on the inside, and then like US is like just a picture of a dog. I was like,
Yeah, but who are the, I
And
mean,
it comes
again,
down to the
it's-
jewel cases. Like the cases you used to get GameCube games in Japan were freaking awesome, man. They had like this little like shelf pocket inside them, and like
Let's go back
They
to
just don't
the
put as much
cultural
effort into it.
differences. Let's look at who they're shopping Nintendogs to here. And again, the Midwest soccer moms who are going, who are going to look at it and they're not going to appreciate it.
you don't want to clean up poop.
Yeah. So anyway, let's get over this. Let's get on with the MPD report. Cause I'm like, I'm
The
kinda-
MPD report, we can't do that without. Ba-ba-da-da-da-da.
And again, we need to invest in some audio tunage type thing. Do we have anybody who plays musical instruments here?
I play bass
No.
guitar and turntables.
sure one of the editors just
I'm
whip
not
up
sure
the sound
that a bass
Yeah.
guitar on its own makes much of a jingle, but
Yeah. Well,
like maybe a
we'll see about
kazoo.
that.
I can play a
It's the
kazoo.
incredible NPD report, brought to
Yeah.
you by Game Trailer.
Nobody, because we never get sponsored for squat.
Yeah, exactly. Give us money,
brought to you by
bitches.
fitness games, actually.
Yeah, yeah. Brought to you by really crappy games for the Wii.
That's right. Just Wank 2, number one again.
Just Wank 2. Yes.
All right, we're not going to talk about that one.
4.1 million units sold.
No, we're not going to talk
So
about that
far.
one.
We should just start a running tab of what games on the Wii it has outsold. Like
Nah,
life to
that
date.
would make me sick inside.
Maybe we should just, as of now, we are retiring Just Dance 2.
We'll never talk about it again.
And we're also going to retire the 8 and 9 games on the list, which is Wii Zumba Fitness and Michael Jackson The Experience. And I think we should also retire Black Ops because we know it continues to sell like shit. Let's talk about the cool stuff. So let's give some props to the games that have come on the charts this month. Marvel vs. Capcom first up. Go.
Well, we still do need to run down through the top 10. So we'll get over those.
Let's put it on
Those things we're going to admit.
Let's put it on screen and let's
Black
talk
Ops 4 and 5 sold another 700,000 units. 360 version slightly ahead of PS3. No surprise there. Zumba Fitness did 800,000 frickin' units.
No, it didn't.
Well, Life
It did 226.
It sold 800,000 units of that game, man. That is insane.
Look, let's go back to number 2 and number 3. Marvel vs. Capcom: The Fate of Two Worlds. Congratulations to Capcom. You know they've had a hit. You know which they've been a little bit iffy recently, but the game's come out. It's got a pretty good feedback from fans and critics alike. It's selling well.
PS3 version outselling the 360 version by 8,000 units.
Yeah, it's close. It's close. But
Total
it's
of
pretty good considering the difference in the hardware. Yeah.
Definitely. 800,000 units sold in the matter of a few days. So Capcom definitely has a big hit there in the US, which is great. That game totally deserves it. Killzone 3, the one you guys are probably all waiting for. Again, it only had a few days of sales, but it sold 279,000 units. Pretty dang good.
Good for again the time of year. It's not the big Christmas rush, and it's a good game. It deserves the support of the PS3 fans. So if you haven't bought it and you do like shooters, get the fuck out there and buy Killzone 3 because it's good.
Support your exclusives, brah. Number 7, Bulletstorm for the 360. Here's probably the most interesting story of the MPD report this month. Bulletstorm again only had a few days of sales. Did pretty well. Sold about 233,000 units on the 360. But then you start looking down the list, and you're like, where's the PS3 version?
I actually forgot it came out on the PS3 when I saw that number.
Number 49, and sold 45,000 units.
Yeah, but why did it sell more on the the 360?
It had the beta for Gears of War. But that is a huge discrepancy.
It's a big disparity, but you've also got to remember, traditionally, Epic have released games predominantly on the 360, and those games have done really well on the 360. That's where their fans are.
In all honesty, I think it bodes really poorly for Bulletstorm doing well on its own. I mean, I think that shows that a lot of people maybe weren't that interested in the game.
I think it's one of those things like, remember when Crackdown was first released and it had the Halo beta on it, the Halo 3 beta?
Yeah.
A lot of people bought it for that, and then the game got legs of its own because it was a bloody good game. I'll say the same for Bulletstorm.
I wouldn't call it bloody good.
Crackdown 1 was a bloody good game, all right? Anyway, look, let's go. I think
number 10.
Bulletstorm is brilliant.
Yeah,
Deserves
it's a cool game. I'm
just a
little concerned to see it only sold 45,000 units on the PS3, even though it was only a few days.
Well, go out and buy it on the 360 because it's a shitload of fun.
NBA 2K11 comes in at number 10. They dropped the price on that game, so not a big surprise because the NBA playoffs are heating up. The NBA is in full force right now. At number 14, the PS3 version came in, so obviously got a bump for both.
That's bouncy ball, isn't it?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
The round ball, as the Americans like to call it.
The one you don't kick, though.
Yeah. Mario Sports Mix
Also
got
basketball.
its ass handed to it by Just Dance, Zumba Fitness, and Michael Jackson. It only sold around 200,000 units.
200,000 for something that's like
crap.
Yeah.
Dance Central still doing really well. 1.4 million units total.
And
sold another 200,000.
The Kinect is officially the fastest selling piece of technology ever.
I don't know where they come up with these records.
Yeah, I think that might be some PR spin.
But it sold the Kinect has sold 10 million units worldwide.
No, I don't know about that.
Worldwide, 10 million units. Don't forget, we're talking not talking about US only. We're talking about worldwide.
Well, we are talking MPD, which is US only.
So I'm just saying that was announced this week.
Dead Space 2 comes in at 13. Its life to date across both platforms only 800,000. That's kind of disappointing. I mean, the 360 version sold 436, so it's pretty much neck and neck with the PS3 version.
Because moms kept their kids from buying it.
Yeah, you're right. Moms didn't want to watch it. It sold another 180,000 units in February, so it does have some semblance of legs, but it looks like it's starting to die pretty fast.
Again, another good game that deserves your support. I mean, I suppose the other thing we've got to remember is money is tight still for a lot of people, and they can only buy one game. And this month is it Homefront, is it Dragon Age? So yeah, I think people are getting more judicious with what they're buying. But games like Dead Space, if you see it on a reduced rack for Dead Space 2, get it.
And then just a quick rundown of some of the more interesting figures. Wii Donkey Kong Country Returns crossed 2 million units sold. New Super Mario Bros. Wii crossed 8 million units sold. Little Big Planet 2 is now across 500,000 units sold, which...
That's not very good for Little Big Planet.
It's kind of about what I expected, I
think. I remember the first one, like, people kept picking it up like a year or two later, so...
Yeah. And then here's the real killer. New Super Mario Bros. For the DS, 9 million units sold. And where's the PSP?
I think if you look to number 132.
Tactics Ogre, Let Us Cling Together.
Justin's
much to
game.
Justin's sadness. Number 132. And very quickly, the hardware numbers. Nothing really shocking in February. The PS3 did 402. The Wii did 454. The 360 won the month with 535,000 units. DS 456,000. Who's buying that with the 3DS coming? Why?
Well, I think a lot of people, again, the hardcore early adopters will get the 3DS. I'm just surprised there are actually people out there who don't have DSs right now and they're still buying. I think they're issued with when you get born, you get a birth certificate and a DS.
Oh, they're in the Best Buy machine at the airport.
And how much are they now? They dropped the price yet?
I want to say 130-ish.
Yeah, I think it's 129 right now. And then life-to-date numbers. I know you guys always want to hear this. This is the console war final figure. The Wii has sold 35 million. Nintendo put out a press release about that this week. The PS3 has sold 16 million, which, wow, I can't believe it's only sold that much. And the 360 is at 26 million. So the 360 is actually starting to creep up on the Wii a little bit here, only 9 million down.
And again, all figures US only. We don't have access to anybody else's, so please don't start bitching and moaning.
Well,
we've tried looking
can get
around.
Japan, but Europe is the big mystery.
So overall, I think the industry still looks pretty healthy, regardless of what's being slung around there. I think EA and Activision have a point in saying, the industry is growing if you take digital into account. So overall, not a bad February.
And March will be owned by Nintendo.
No doubt about it.
God damn it, Carl. I said don't come here. You risk starting a shitstorm right where these people live.
We had nowhere else to go. The area's crawling with KPA.
We're supposed to be fighting for these people, not hiding behind them.
Who the fuck's hiding?
That's enough, both of you.
Okay, so that's a wrap on episode 151. Do want to remind you guys, Game Trailers TV, we have the Thursday airing around 1 o'clock. We also have a re-air on Sunday mornings at 9 a.m., and we have a contest going on to get you guys to get your asses out of bed on Sunday morning and watch the show. So all you have to do is basically tweet a picture of you either watching Game Trailers TV or doing something funky around Game Trailers TV, and you can win really cool products from Koto Bukiya Toys? Are they toys?
Apparently they're a toy company, yeah.
Koto Bukiya Toys. So make sure you watch the show, tweet something to...
Find an image of Jeff in your toast.
Yeah.
Or make a Jeff out of your cereal.
Actually, if somebody sends us a picture with Jeff Keighley's face on a piece of toast, that isn't just his picture taped. If they've actually managed to burn his face into a piece of toast, I will give that person something very special.
And GameTrailers.com is not responsible for you burning down your house while trying to burn a picture of Jeff Keighley into your toast. Thanks very much.
And don't try to fool us with Photoshop, because we have people who can figure that stuff out. So anyway, that's episode 151. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Invisible Walls is up and